Madonna didn't just dominate the music charts, she changed a boy's life forever. 16 years ago, she adopted a child from a struggling orphanage and brought him into a world of luxury and privilege. But what happened after the headlines faded? Where is he now, and what is he up to as an adult? Stick around, because we're diving into the incredible journey of that once-lost boy and uncovering the surprising twists in his story. Madonna's life-changing decision. In 2006, Madonna wasn't just ruling the music world, she was shaping history. At the peak of her career, with global hits, movie roles, and a fearless reputation for pushing boundaries, she took on a different kind of mission, humanitarian work. Her focus turned to Africa, particularly Malawi, one of the world's poorest nations, where countless children faced extreme poverty and inadequate health care. Deeply moved by their struggles, she didn't just write a check. She founded Raising Malawi, a charity dedicated to helping orphans and vulnerable children. But during one of her visits, something happened that would change both her life and his forever. At Home of Hope, a Malawian orphanage, Madonna locked eyes with a tiny, frail boy named David Banda. Just over a year old, he had already endured more hardship than most would in a lifetime. Born into a rural village with little to no resources, David lost his mother shortly after birth. His father, Johan Banda, a struggling farmer barely able to provide for his other children, made the heartbreaking decision to place him in the orphanage, hoping it would give him a fighting chance. When Madonna met David, he was gravely ill, battling pneumonia and other life-threatening conditions. Yet despite his fragile state, something about him struck her. In that moment, she felt an unshakable connection. Overcome with the desire to give him a better, healthier future, she made a life-altering decision. She would become his mother. Sit back, relax, and dive into this incredible journey with us. Trust me, you won't want to miss this one. A battle for David. Madonna's decision to adopt David was heartfelt, but the journey was anything but smooth. At the time, Malawi had no formal laws for international adoptions, making the process a legal minefield. What should have been a life-changing act of love quickly turned into a media circus. Human rights groups and critics accused Madonna of using her celebrity status to bypass regulations, fast-tracking the adoption while others faced endless red tape. Some questioned whether it was right to take David away from his homeland and culture, while rumors swirled that the entire adoption was nothing more than a PR stunt. The controversy escalated as headlines exploded. Reports surfaced that Madonna or her representatives would soon appear in court, with opponents arguing that orphans should remain with their extended families rather than be placed in foreign homes. But while the world debated, Madonna stood her ground. She fired back at critics, insisting her only goal was to provide David with love, health care, and opportunities he wouldn't have otherwise. And she vowed to keep him connected to his Malawian heritage. In the midst of the chaos, one voice stood firmly in Madonna's corner. David's father, Johanna Banda. He made it clear that placing his son in the orphanage was an act of desperation, not abandonment. Struggling to provide for his family, he believed Madonna could offer David a future he could only dream of. With Johan's blessing, Madonna's relentless determination, and the eventual approval of Malawian authorities, the adoption was officially finalized in 2008, 2 years after David first entered her care. But what happened next? Stay tuned as we uncover the remarkable story of David Banda's early years. David's fragile beginnings. On September 24, 2005, in the remote village of Leonga, Malawi, a baby boy entered the world under heartbreaking circumstances. David Banda was born into a life of struggle. His father, Johanni Banda, was a poor farmer doing his best to provide, but tragedy struck early. Just weeks after giving birth, David's mother passed away due to complications and a devastating lack of medical care. With no resources and no way to care for his infant son, Johann made the painful decision to place David in an orphanage, hoping it would give him a fighting chance. David was taken to Home of Hope, an orphanage in Machinji, Malawi. But even under their care, survival was anything but certain. From infancy, he battled pneumonia, his tiny body frail and weakened by illness. The orphanage staff did everything they could, but with limited medical supplies and resources, they were in a desperate fight to keep him alive. Then came a moment that changed everything. In 2006, Madonna arrived in Malawi as part of her humanitarian mission with Raising Malawi. During her visit, she locked eyes with David, and in that instant, she knew she had to help him. What should have been a simple act of compassion turned into a global firestorm, threatening not only the adoption but also her reputation. The moment Madonna's decision became public, the media went into a frenzy, twisting facts and fueling controversy. Critics accused her of using her fame to bypass legal barriers, while others speculated it was just another publicity stunt. But Madonna, she wasn't backing down. Determined to cut through the red tape, she fought tirelessly, engaging with Malawian authorities and legal experts to ensure every document was properly signed. The battle dragged on for nearly a year, filled with roadblocks and relentless scrutiny. If Madonna wasn't truly invested in David's future, she could have walked away. She could have adopted from another country with fewer complications or chosen a child without severe health issues. But she didn't. She stayed, she fought, and she won. Finally, after months of legal tug-of-war, the adoption was finalized. David officially became part of Madonna's family, stepping into a world where education, healthcare, and endless opportunities replaced the struggle of his early years. But what was it really like growing up with one of the biggest pop icons in the world? Let's dive into David's life inside Madonna's empire. A new life with Madonna. When David Banda's adoption was finalized in 2008, his life took a dramatic turn. Gone were the days of uncertainty. He was now growing up under the care of one of the most famous women on the planet. Imagine waking up in a mansion where your next meal was never a concern, where the world's best schools, doctors, and opportunities were suddenly at your fingertips. That was David's new reality. He wasn't just joining a new family, he was stepping into a household filled with siblings from different backgrounds. Madonna's two biological children, Lords Leon and Rocco Ritchie, had already experienced life in the spotlight. By the time David arrived, Madonna had also adopted Mercy James from Malawi, and later she expanded the family even further with twin girls, Stella and Esther, also from Malawi. Growing up in this dynamic household gave David a deep sense of belonging. Lourdes, the eldest, naturally took on the role of a protective big sister. Rocco, closer in age, became a childhood companion. With Mercy, who had a similar Malawian background, David shared an unspoken connection. And when Stella and Esther joined the family, it completed the picture, a unique, blended family bonded by love rather than blood. As David grew older, his journey under Madonna's guidance only became more intriguing. Growing up in the spotlight. Being Madonna's son didn't just mean a new home. It meant living under a global microscope. David Banda was no longer just a boy from Malawi. He was now the child of a pop icon, constantly in the public eye. From an early age, he attended high-profile events, traveled the world, and lived a life most could only dream of. Red carpet appearances? Check. Front row seats at major fashion shows? Check. Rubbing shoulders with Hollywood's elite? That was just another Tuesday. Despite the constant media attention, Madonna was adamant about keeping her children grounded. She made sure that behind the flashing cameras, discipline and education came first. Balancing superstardom with motherhood, she enrolled David in some of the world's best international schools, places that didn't just focus on academic excellence, but also fostered creativity and personal growth. But David wasn't just another celebrity kid enjoying the perks of fame. There was something unique about him, something that set him apart from the rest. Keep watching as we uncover what makes David Banda truly one of a kind. David's soccer dream. From the moment he could kick a ball, David Banda had one passion: soccer. Growing up, he spent hours playing with friends, dribbling in the backyard, and mimicking the moves of the world's greatest players. It wasn't just a casual pastime, it was an obsession. And in a household where talent was nurtured and dreams were taken seriously, his love for the game didn't go unnoticed. Madonna, always supportive of her children's aspirations, quickly realized that David had more than just enthusiasm. He had raw talent. But instead of treating it as just another childhood phase, she took it seriously. She enrolled him in local youth soccer leagues, ensuring he trained under professional coaches who could refine his skills. This wasn't about privilege, it was about discipline, commitment, and genuine passion. Even with her demanding career, Madonna remained actively involved in his journey. She showed up at his games, attended practice sessions, and was often seen cheering him on from the sidelines. It was clear that, despite her global superstar status, she was first and foremost a mother who wanted her son to succeed. But talent alone isn't enough in the world of professional sports. To reach the top, you need the right training, the right environment, and the right opportunities, and Madonna knew exactly where to find them. In 2017, she made a bold move, relocating her entire family to Lisbon, Portugal. The reason? Portugal is a soccer powerhouse, home to some of the greatest players in history, including Cristiano Ronaldo. If David wanted to take his soccer dream to the next level, this was the place to do it. Madonna wasted no time in enrolling him at the prestigious Benfica Youth Academy, a world-renowned institution known for producing top-tier talent. This wasn't just another after-school soccer program. This was where future stars were made. The training was rigorous, demanding both physically and mentally. Every day, David trained alongside some of the best young players in Europe, honing his technique, improving his fitness, and learning the discipline required to make it in the professional world. The academy wasn't just about teaching soccer, it was about shaping athletes. David had to balance his passion for the game with his education, managing a schedule that required hard work, focus, and resilience. The transition wasn't always easy, but he thrived in the structured environment. He wasn't just playing anymore, he was training like a pro, pushing himself harder with each passing day. What do you think of David's story so far? Drop a 1 in the comments if you're impressed, or let me know your thoughts below. The world takes notice. As David Banda's soccer journey continued, it was impossible for the media to ignore. His participation in Benfica's youth academy wasn't just about his growing talent. It was also about his famous last name. The son of Madonna training at one of Europe's elite soccer institutions? That was a story too good to pass up. Headlines followed his every move, analyzing his skills, his potential, and of course his mother's relentless support. Madonna wasn't just a passive observer. She was fully invested. Her decision to uproot her family to Portugal for David's training wasn't a small sacrifice, and the media took note. The press quickly dubbed her a soccer mom, a label she fully embraced. But unlike most parents shouting from the sidelines on a Saturday afternoon, Madonna's version of soccer mom duties included front-row seats at global tournaments, meetings with top-tier coaches, and personally ensuring David had every resource he needed to succeed. And she wasn't quiet about it. Madonna proudly documented his progress on social media, sharing clips of his footwork, game highlights, and behind-the-scenes moments that showcased his growing talent. But beyond the Instagram posts and viral clips, she played an active role in his development. She met with his coaches regularly, asking about his training regimen and what more she could do to support him. This wasn't just a celebrity mom indulging her son's hobby. This was Madonna making sure David had every possible opportunity to turn his passion into a career. While the media attention added pressure, Madonna remained fiercely protective. She worked to keep David focused on the game, shielding him from distractions that often come with being in the public eye. For her, this wasn't about fame. It was about seeing her son thrive in something he truly loved. And David? He wasn't just living in the shadow of his superstar mother. He was proving he had the talent to stand on his own. The struggle for identity. David Banda's journey in soccer wasn't all smooth sailing. Being Madonna's son meant the world was always watching. Every goal, every misstep, every moment of his development scrutinized under the media's relentless lens. Unlike other aspiring athletes whose failures and victories were private, David's progress played out in the headlines. Cameras followed him onto the field. Critics weighed in on his potential, and the expectations of being both Madonna's son and a rising soccer talent created a pressure most kids his age would never have to deal with. Finding balance between his fame and his dreams was no small feat. While some dismissed his opportunities as nothing more than a byproduct of privilege, David was determined to prove otherwise. He didn't just want to be the kid who got a shot because of his mother. He wanted to earn his place on the field. His time at Benfica Youth Academy provided the perfect testing ground. Here, he wasn't Madonna's son. He was just another young athlete competing for a future in professional soccer, surrounded by peers who had no last names to fall back on. And he delivered. Over time, David's relentless training and discipline paid off. His coaches took notice, praising not just his technical skills but his work ethic and passion for the game. He was proving, step by step, that he wasn't just a celebrity kid playing a rich boy's sport. He was an athlete with serious potential. The road to professional soccer was grueling, but David wasn't backing down. He trained harder, pushed further, and stayed locked in on his goal. But one question remained. Amid all the fame, training, and European soccer academies, had David ever reconnected with his roots? Had he returned to Malawi after leaving as a baby? Keep watching as we uncover his journey back home, his search for identity, and the drama that followed. Reconnecting with his roots. From the moment Madonna adopted David Banda, she made it a priority to keep him connected to his heritage. But for years, the public had no idea. The silence led to speculation. Some accused her of cutting David off from his Malawian roots, while even his biological father, Yohane Banda, began to question her intentions. What people didn't realize was that Madonna had always understood the importance of David's identity. She wanted him to grow up knowing where he came from, not just as the son of a global superstar, but as a child of Malawi. In 2016, she took a major step in reinforcing that connection, traveling with David to Malawi for a visit. He was 10 years old at the time, and it was his first real opportunity to see his birthplace. But before this visit, rumors were already flying. The media had painted a chaotic picture of Madonna's personal life, reporting on her divorce and relationships with younger men, fueling concerns that David was being raised in an environment that might negatively impact him. His father, caught in the whirlwind of speculation, suddenly began to voice concerns, demanding that David be returned to him in Malawi. It seemed that Johan had forgotten the difficult circumstances that led to the adoption in the first place. He had been struggling to provide for David, earning a mere $50 a year as a farmer. The heartbreaking decision to place David in an orphanage had been made out of necessity, not neglect. And even back then, Madonna's adoption process had not been easy. She later recalled how she had forgotten to apply for a passport for 13-month-old David, delaying their departure as officials scrambled to fix the issue. During that turbulent time, Johan had publicly stood by Madonna, telling the world that he supported the adoption and that blocking it would only destroy his son's future. a homecoming like no other. For Madonna, the journey back to Malawi in 2016 wasn't just a trip. It was a deeply emotional experience, one she later described as just as taxing as giving birth. The moment she and David Banda arrived, they were met with a celebration unlike any other. The village chief, local elders, and an entire community gathered to welcome back the boy who had once called this place home. The air was filled with ululations, singing, and joyous cheers, marking the return of a long-lost son. The reunion was nothing short of surreal. The day before, Mercy James, David's adoptive sister, had experienced a similar welcome, but now it was David's turn to take center stage. The village had gone all out, organizing traditional dance performances and even a special routine by students from the local primary school, the very school David would have attended had he stayed in Malawi. It was a powerful moment, bridging the gap between his past and his present. For Johanna Banda, David's biological father, it was an overwhelmingly joyful occasion. The reunion gave him the chance to introduce David to his 4 younger siblings, including his youngest child, Shiloh, who was just 2.5 weeks old. Johann was overcome with emotion, sharing, "I can't put into words how happy I was to spend 4 hours with my son. He's a good boy, humble and well-behaved. I am proud of him." He also revealed that David had expressed a deep connection to his roots, telling his family that Malawi would always be home and that he planned to visit often. But this visit wasn't just about celebrations. It was about reassurance. Johann had long been vocal about his concerns, especially as Madonna's highly publicized divorce and relationships with younger men clashed with traditional Malawian values. In previous interviews, he admitted feeling uneasy about David growing up in such a different environment, saying, "What I've heard about Madonna's lifestyle has been quite shocking. In Malawi, we have strong family values. David wouldn't be exposed to that kind of thing here." However, all of those fears seemed to melt away after seeing David in person. Witnessing the close bond between mother and son firsthand, Johann had a change of heart. In an interview with Mail Online, he declared, "I have nothing but praise for Madonna. I am extremely positive about her." But then he dropped a statement that left everyone stunned. "Madonna assured me that the boy will return to me once he has completed his education." Still here with us? Let me know by commenting too. I see you and I appreciate you sticking around. Life in the spotlight. Growing up as Madonna's adopted son meant that David Banda never had the luxury of anonymity. From the moment he entered her life in 2006, the world was watching. His every milestone, his adoption, his integration into Madonna's family, his passion for soccer, became headline news. Unlike most kids who get to grow up in relative privacy, David's life was an open book, analyzed and debated by the media. Early on, the focus was on Madonna's decision to adopt him from Malawi, with heated discussions surrounding the legal battles and whether or not it was ethical to take him out of his birth country. But as the years went on, the conversation shifted. The media became obsessed with how he was adjusting to life in one of the most famous families in the world. Some reports celebrated his journey, highlighting his love for soccer, his global travels, and his close bond with Madonna. Others, however, took a more critical approach, questioning whether growing up in such a high-profile, unconventional environment would affect his development. Through it all, one thing remained constant: Madonna's unwavering support. She didn't just raise David, she mentored him. In interviews and on social media, she often expressed her pride in him, sharing moments of their life together and encouraging him to embrace his individuality despite the pressures of fame. And over time, David learned to navigate the spotlight himself. Like many in his generation, David turned to social media as a way to control his narrative. On platforms like Instagram, he has started sharing glimpses of his world, his interests, his style, his achievements, offering a personal, unfiltered perspective that goes beyond the media's often exaggerated stories. Unlike before, when the press dictated how the world saw him, social media gave him the power to define his own identity. Now, David Banda isn't just the boy Madonna adopted. He's a grown man forging his own path. But what does he do today? Where has his journey taken him? Let's dive into David Banda's life now. Stepping into his own. Now, in his late teens, David Banda is no longer just Madonna's adopted son. He's carving out his own identity, balancing the privileges that come with his famous last name and his personal ambitions. He's stepping into adulthood with confidence, embracing both his athletic pursuits and his artistic passions. While soccer was a major part of his childhood, David has also developed a deep appreciation for fashion and music. He has often made headlines for his bold, eclectic style, showing up at high-profile events alongside Madonna in outfits that demand attention. Whether it's the Grammy Awards or exclusive charity functions, David has proven that he's not afraid to push fashion boundaries, something that undoubtedly reflects Madonna's influence as a pop icon and trendsetter. But his love for fashion isn't just a hobby, it's now part of his career. On September 8, 2024, David made his runway debut at Off-White's Spring 2025 show during New York Fashion Week. Strutting down the catwalk in a plaid-collared vest, black pleated trousers, statement earrings, gloves, and flip-flops, he commanded attention, proving he had the confidence and presence to own the fashion world. Among the star-studded audience, celebrities like Camila Cabello, Issa Rae, and Olympic gymnast Sunisa Lee, all watching as David followed in the footsteps of his older sister, Lourdes Leon, who has previously walked for major brands like Versace, Marine Serre, and Luis de Javier. Fashion has always been a shared passion between David and Madonna. On The Tonight Show in August 2022, Madonna told Jimmy Fallon that David's fashion sense was so good, it was frustrating. She joked, "He can put on any outfit and look swag as you know what. It's really irritating. He wears my clothes and looks better in them." That same year, he made headlines when he stepped out with Madonna in a replica of the iconic Adidas dress she famously wore in 1993. And yes, he pulled it off flawlessly. David's next big move. Madonna wasn't exaggerating when she said David Banda was multi-talented, because now he's making waves in music too. On The Tonight Show, she jokingly told Jimmy Fallon, "He's going to end up being one of your guests." And honestly, she might be right. David recently launched a new venture, riding the momentum from his success on Madonna's Celebration tour, where he stunned audiences as both a guitarist and dancer. Now, he's taking that experience and turning it into his own business. In a bold move, he announced on Instagram that he's offering online guitar classes, inviting students of all levels to join him in a fun-filled jam session. His pitch? "Welcome to my online guitar class, where everyone, from beginners strumming their first chords to seasoned musicians perfecting their craft, can come together and make music." And if that wasn't enough, he added a motivational push, telling future students not to be intimidated. Whether you're still working on Twinkle Twinkle Little Star or ready to unleash your inner rock god, this class is all about embracing the joy of making music together. But here's where it gets even more interesting. David isn't just doing this for fun, he's turning it into a serious business. According to his Instagram, his calendar is open for bookings until September, and he's setting premium pricing for his sessions. His one-on-one classes go for $200 per hour. But here's the catch. Students must book a minimum of 5 sessions, bringing the total to $1,000 per student. A bold move? Absolutely. But considering the praise he's received from Madonna and the fact that he's been performing on a world tour, people just might be willing to pay. Madonna has always spoken highly of David's drive and work ethic. In a 2019 British Vogue interview, she said, What David has more than anything is focus and determination. I'm pretty sure he got it from me. Reflecting on their relationship, she admitted, "He's the one I have the most in common with. I feel like he gets me. He has more of my DNA than any of my other children." So, what do you think? Has Madonna raised a future rock star? Or is David Banda on the path to becoming the next big fashion and music icon? Drop your thoughts below and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any videos from us.